I had the privilege of doing a photo shoot at the Botanical Gardens in Caledon with 4 young people, and it was absolutely beautiful. The scenery was amazing. It was a perfect day and there were tons of hidden gems within the garden. I'm going to take you through my process from finding unique spots at a location to finding the right composition on each spot, the perfect angle, the right lighting, and everything else in between. I'll also share my organizing and editing process so you can see that there's more to it than just pushing a button. You'll also have a chance to see some of my before and after photos in detail. So, without further ado, welcome to a day in the life of a photographer. So we started out moving through the botanical gardens looking for a good spot. We found some amazing spots, but there was very harsh lighting at that time of day. We used this lighting to our advantage. As you can see through some of the images that are in this video, we really allowed the lighting to define how we were going to take the photographs instead of fighting it. We also just let it flow, and honestly, the results were breathtaking. We hit the road again looking for some more awesome spots, and as you can see, the scenery around us is mental. Later on in the day, as the sun started going down, we had to rethink our lighting strategy. Now, having a bit of low light isn't always bad. Again, we took advantage of that situation, and at the end of the day, these are some of our results. But again, it does not just happen. We don't just take pictures and they are automatically amazing. The editing process is easy once you have built a workflow. I'm going to show you my workflow from removing all the photographs that are overexposed, underexposed, blurry, and just downright nasty. I'm going to show you a few examples of different types of photographs and how I actually edit them. Now, when I started photography and I started editing, I went and had a look at what free software there was available out there, right? And I came across something that was made by Google. Now, if you've ever heard of Snapseed, you'll know that Snapseed is probably one of the nicest pieces of software to work with as a beginner. They have a lot of tools that are both beginner friendly as well as intermediate and advanced friendly. Now, as you can see here, I've got all my images, and it would be pretty cool if I could just upload every single one of them, right? But unfortunately, with Snapseed and all of its advantages, I can only do one image at a time. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to grab this image over here. So as you can see, I've uploaded the image, right? And there are a couple presets that I can add. So you can see at the bottom what they look like, and I can go ahead and I can apply some of these presets. Some of them are a little bit harsh, but what I like to generally do is just go ahead with the normal current image as it is, unedited. And here you can see, if you go down to tools, there are a ton of different options. Okay, so you can go ahead and manually edit each and every photograph. The exporting process as well is individual, one by one. Now, unfortunately, when you've got 300, 400, 500 photographs to edit and they all more or less have the same lighting, you really want to apply the same changes per photograph and then just tweak them slightly. So I came across Lightroom Mobile because I was on the search for something that would make my life easier. Okay, I was spending hours and hours on editing and it just wasn't working out. I was spending more time editing than what I was doing in every other element of taking photographs or being a photographer. So I went over and I looked for options that were affordable, as well as options that gave me many settings and would just make my workflow easier. Okay, so I went and had a look at Lightroom Mobile, and as you can see, for just a couple bucks you can get Lightroom Mobile and you can do everything on your mobile device. Now I use Lightroom Mobile and the features here are absolutely crazy. So I can batch upload. So all I have to do is go ahead and upload folders, and then once you actually go into photographs, and again we're going to choose a photograph, and what you can do is when you start editing, all right, you can actually edit the photograph and use their AI to auto enhance the photograph. Now this is something that has been done already, so I'm just going to say all, and this is the original. So if I go ahead now and I just tap on edit, and here I tap on auto, immediately you can see a slight difference in the photograph. If you're holding down on the photograph, you can actually see the before and the after. Now for me, this is not yet enough or close to what I wanted, so I can now go and I can tweak those settings. So I can go ahead and I can change the lighting from exposure to the contrast. I can bump up the highlights, shadows, whites and blacks, and then they also got some advanced settings such as HDR mode. That's fantastic. You can also use the curve to help you edit that photograph if you are using a little bit more of an advanced tactic. You can also adjust the color grading, the color mixing, temperature, tint, vibrance, saturation, and then you can put a blur onto your image as well if you would like to have that bokeh effect. So if you're using a low aperture, then it would be unnecessary to do so, but if you are using a device that doesn't have too much of a low aperture, you can do this in post. So you can see now that that is a whole lot different. Once you're done with the edits, you can actually go ahead and save these settings, right? So you can just say copy settings. It asks you what you want to copy, and you can hit the tick, and now you can just apply it to all of the other images. Now what I generally do when I have imported all my images, I import them in batches of what kind of looks the same. So I'll have overexposed images, I'll have underexposed images, then I'll have images with harsh lighting, I'll have indoor images, and I'll also use more than one device to take photographs. So I'll also separate those ones. So I end up with maybe 6 or 7 different folders with different sort of looks and feels on the photographs, right? And then what I do is when I edit one of them, I just copy those settings, and I can now just go back in to any one of the other photographs, and I can hit those 3 dots, and I can actually just paste those exact settings right over there. Okay, and you can actually go ahead and you can batch paste as well. So if you're going to go and select a bunch, you can hit the paste edits right at the bottom over here, and it'll paste those edits on every single one of them. Okay, so it just makes my life a whole lot easier to edit one image, and then every other image that looks more or less the same, I can have those settings applied as well. Then we can go ahead and we can tweak individuals again that are just a little bit out. So you can bring up the exposure, bring it down, change the lighting, change the color grading a little bit. I then organize everything into one folder, and I go ahead and I select all. And now you can just go ahead and say share, and you can save everything to your device. Thereafter, I jump into WeTransfer. I create a one-time link. It's valid for 7 days, and it's absolutely free. You don't even have to sign up. You can just go ahead and say I want to send files, and then send a file. You upload everything, and you get a link. You can pass that link around to whoever you want to pass it around to. Now, in the past, I have done weddings. I've also done a baby shower, and not only the person that is my client, but all of the guests also want some of those images. So what I do is I create a link, and then that link can be distributed to absolutely everybody that wants those photographs. Gone are the days of USB sticks, drives, passing it around, having to get it back to your client, dealing with corrupt files on USBs, transferring viruses and all that. We transfer absolutely the bomb. Now, as you can see, this is the way I process my photographs, from looking for spots to actually editing the photographs to delivering it to a client. And there's no right way or wrong way of doing it. It just happens to be the way that I've adapted throughout the time that I've been doing this. The important thing is you need to find the right software that works for you. You also need to find the right workflow that works for you. And you also need to find software that is within your budget. Now, of course, if you have more to spend, you can be using other types of software. But at the end of the day, any business wants to spend as little as possible when they're starting out. So having said this, try and keep your costs low and try and make the most of what you actually have. Now, if you want to know what equipment I use, you can go ahead, leave a comment down below if you are interested. I will be making a video as to what equipment I use to actually take these wonderful photographs. And we'll see you next time.